Justice Department released more than 3 million documents, including photos and videos from the Epstein files. Some of these new documents are emails between convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and New York Giants chairman and co-owner Steve Tisch. They reportedly show that Epstein recruited women for him. In a statement, Tisch expressed regret about his association with Epstein and said the women he discussed with Epstein were adults. CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe has more.
The files reveal hundreds of references to President Trump, who's never been charged with any wrongdoing. Some describe allegations referencing underage women. Others detail parties allegedly held at the president's Mar-a-Lago estate. A 2012 email details the possibility of Epstein going to Mar-a-Lago after Christmas. That's several years after Trump claims he and Epstein ended their friendship.
I haven't spoken to him in probably 15 years or more.
In a 2016 deposition, Epstein is asked several questions about former President Bill Clinton flying on his jet and whether he was accompanied by 2 young women. Epstein answered fifth to each question. Clinton has denied any wrongdoing. In another email exchange, Epstein writes to Microsoft founder Bill Gates about helping Bill to get drugs in order to deal with consequences of sex with Russian girls. Gates' ex-wife told CBS News her then-husband's relationship with Epstein played a role in their divorce. Epstein, in an exchange with Elon Musk, discusses sending his helicopter to take him to his island. Musk asking what day, night, will be the wildest party.
For mad long, hip-hop and the world of the super-rich elite, there was like 2 totally different planets, son. Straight up. One planet was born on the cold concrete, at block parties blasting speakers, in the projects where you gotta have eyes in the back of your head. The other planet, that's them glass towers scrapping the sky. Them secret clubs where you need a gold ticket to get in. Them fancy offices where they move numbers on a screen. They had their own rules, their own slang, their own kind of juice. But then hip-hop artists started getting that real money. Like generational wealth type bread. The cash from records, from sneaker deals, from liquor brands. It started looking just like the cash from Wall Street, from hedge funds, from all that. The line between the two, it got mad blurry, feel me? Lately, ain't no name made people stare at that blurry line harder than this cat Jeffrey Epstein. This dude was a financier. Yeah, a money man, a straight-up billionaire. Got busted for some of the most foul, unforgivable crimes you could imagine, messing with young girls. His whole story blew the lid off, because his circle was the most powerful, most famous people on earth. Presidents, princes, genius scientists, other billionaires. The Epstein mess showed the whole world how dark it gets when you mix unlimited money with zero morals. It's the ultimate power-corrupt story. And now, the long, creepy shadow from that Epstein situation has stretched right into the pinnacle of hip-hop. And it lit the match on a monster, fire-breathing beef between 2 of the game's goats, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson and Sean Jay-Z Carter. But hold up, this ain't your average rap battle, nah. This ain't about who got the hotter verse or who moved more units this quarter. Nah, this is a whole different animal. This war is being fought with lawyer paperwork, with passenger lists from private jets, and most of all, in the court of public opinion. What the streets, the blogs, and the regular folks start to believe. 50 Cent, who is the absolute god of starting drama and then kicking back to watch the whole thing burn, just made a huge power move. He declared he's about to make a whole documentary film, a deep dive investigation, all about Jay-Z. And the reason he gave? It sent the whole internet into a spiral. It's because Jay-Z's name showed up in the newly released Jeffrey Epstein court papers. First, we gotta really understand who Jay-Z is in this picture. He ain't just a rapper no more. He's a damn institution. He came from the bottom, from the tough Marcy projects in Brooklyn, where dreams get crushed every day. Through sheer lyrical genius and a business brain that won't quit, he climbed all the way to billionaire status. He's the poster child for black excellence, for beating the odds, for turning nothing into everything. He got a piece of a sports team, a champagne empire, a weed company, the whole portfolio. He's married to Beyoncé, the queen herself. His name is synonymous with success, with wisdom, with integrity. So for his name to even breathe the same air as the toxic, evil universe of Jeffrey Epstein, that's an earthquake. It makes everybody stop scrawling and go, hold up, say that again. So what's the actual deal with these papers and Jay-Z? Let's be crystal clear. They are not charging him with nothing. The mention comes from some old legal testimony, back from 2011, by a woman named Johanna Schoberg. She's one of the people who accused Epstein of hudding her. In her story, she remembers a time when Epstein was trying to pressure her into some foul stuff, to manipulate her, to make it sound glamorous or like a big career move. He dropped a famous name, the rapper Jay-Z. Epstein allegedly told her that Jay-Z could be a potential client, or that doing this favor could help her out. It's a grimy, chilling detail, but the key thing is this. Jay-Z himself is not accused of any crime here. He ain't on no list of guests to Epstein's creepy private island, that orgy island spot. He ain't in the visitor logs for Epstein's mansions. Based on these documents, he was just a famous name that a predator used as bait to try to trick somebody. This one tiny little thread, a name used to lure someone, is the whole shaky foundation this entire explosive situation is built on. Now, enter 50 Cent 50 is a master of survival, a genius at turning pure chaos into a cash register ringing. Dude famously took 9 bullets and lived to tell the tale. He's also famous for never, ever ducking a fight, especially on social media, where he's a general. When he caught the headlines about Jay-Z and the Epstein papers, he didn't just bookmark it. He saw a wide open lane. He went straight to his Instagram, where he got over 30 million soldiers ready, and launched a full-scale meme invasion. He created and posted fake newspaper covers with Jay-Z's face, and words like exposed in big, bold letters. He posted edited pics and videos, clowning the whole situation. Then he dropped the bomb. He announced, loud and clear for the culture, I'm going to do a documentary on Jay-Z being named in the Epstein documents. He had that trademark smirk on his face, but nobody was logging this off as a joke. Why? Because he just finished running the exact same play on another hip-hop mogul, Sean Diddy Combs. When Diddy was catching a wave of serious lawsuits and the feds raided his spots, 50 Cent launched a relentless, brutal social media campaign. He flooded the zone with videos and posts under hashtag #DiddyDoIt, mocking Diddy's legal drama. He dug up old clips and photos, adding his own slick, cynical captions. It was ruthless. It was everywhere online. And it got 50 a tsunami of attention, clicks, and engagement. He proved that in today's world, a public scandal is just raw material for content, for fuel. So now he's pulling the same card out the deck, and his new target is Jay-Z. But this has everybody a skin. Why Jay-Z, though? Why is 50 centering all this energy on HOV? The answer is buried deep in over 20 years of hip-hop history. Their rivalry is old, it's cold, and it's complicated. It started back in the early 2000s. 50 Cent burst onto the scene like a volcano, this brash, loud, aggressive new voice from Southside Queens. He was raw. He was confrontational. He was get-the-strap energy. Jay-Z, at that time, was the undisputed king, sitting on the throne. He was from Brooklyn, seen as smoother, more lyrical, more strategic with his business moves. Their crews, G-Unit and Rockefeller, were straight-up rivals. The competition was about who truly ran New York hip-hop, who owned the streets. They've thrown subliminals and direct shots at each other in songs for years. One of the most infamous attacks was on 50's 2005 track, Piggy Bank. On that joint, he straight-up mocked Jay-Z's business deals and even made some disrespectful jokes about his then-girlfriend, Beyoncé. He rapped lines like, "I'll take you to the bridge," which was a direct dig at Jay-Z's classic, 99 Problems. That wasn't just competitive sport, that was personal. But this new fight, it's way bigger than old lyrics. It's about their two different paths and their clashing personalities. Jay-Z represents what it looks like when you fully merge into the highest, most polished levels of corporate America and global culture. He's on boards, he's advising Fortune 500 companies. He's moving in circles with the global business elite. He's Chairman HOV. 50 Cent, while also a brilliant businessman with hit TV shows and smart investments, has always kept that gritty, street edge to his persona. He's the guy who'll troll you on Instagram from his mansion pool. He's always calling out what he sees as hypocrisy, or people fronting, acting, too proper. By threatening this documentary, 50 ain't just reviving an old rap beef. He's poking at the flawless, untouchable image of Jay-Z. He's implying that even the most successful, most respected black businessman in the game might not be completely spotless, cause his name is now floating in the same disgusting sewer water as Jeffrey Epstein's. Whether that's a fair move or foul play is exactly what's got the whole world heated, talking sides. The streets is watching. They got a whole library of throwing shade at each other on tracks, for real. Back in '05, 50 dropped that song Piggy Bank. On that joint he was going in, he clowned Jay's whole clothing brand, Rocawear, talking about it was weak. He even stepped way over the line, dissing his relationship with Beyonce before they was even married. That line, "I'll take you to the bridge," that wasn't just a lyric. That was a direct shot at Jay's 99 Problems, a deliberate attempt to dismantle a classic. And way before that, when 50 was first coming up hungry, he had that infamous song idea, How to Rob, where he fantasized about sticking up every big-name rapper in the game. That mentality, that itch to take aim at the king, never really left his system. It's in his DNA. But this new drama, it's way bigger than some old tracks collecting dust. This is about two totally different archetypes, two different ways of being at the top. Jay-Z is seen as the ultimate statesman, smooth, calculated, connected in boardrooms and at political fundraisers. He's breaking bread with CEOs and former presidents. He moved from the corner to the corner office, literally. 50 Cent, on the other hand, even with all his TV empire success and business moves, cultivates that man of the people / street prophet vibe. He's the guy who'll tell you the raw, uncomfortable truth as he sees it, even from a diamond-encrusted watch. He lives to call out who he thinks is being phony, who's fronting, who's acting too clean for the hood they came from. By threatening this documentary, 50 ain't just dropping a diss track. He's trying to engineer a whole demolition job on Jay-Z's pristine, untouchable image. He's whispering loudly to the world that even Jay-Z, the Mount Rushmore face of black success and power, got his name caught in the nastiest, most scandalous web of the century, just by association. He's painting a shadow on a sunlit statue. Now, let's really dig into the archives of their beef over the years. It wasn't always a headline every day, but the tension was a low hum that kept turning into sparks. Back in 2007, when Jay-Z made that legendary power move to leave Def Jam as president and sign a monster $150 million deal with the concert giant Live Nation, 50 was right there with the commentary. He mocked the deal, saying Jay was retiring from rap to become a businessman. It was a slick way of undermining his credibility as an artist, implying he was abandoning the culture that made him for the corporate suite. He was painting Jay as a sellout. Then around 2010, rumors swirled that 50 was trying to swoop in and sign the elusive, lyrical genius Jay Electronica to his G-Unit label. Why was that a big deal? 'Cause Jay Electronica was, and is, deeply woven into the fabric of Jay-Z's Rock Nation camp. That was seen as a direct attempt to poach from Jay's inner circle, to snatch a prized artist from under his nose. More tension, more silent warfare. And for years, 50 has made it a side hustle to critique Jay's business moves on social media. When Jay's music streaming service title was struggling and catching bad press, 50 was the first one with a meme, Logan at the subscriber numbers. When Jay jumped into the legal weed game with his cannabis brand, 50 was cracking jokes, implying it was late or not authentic. It's like 50 has a permanent seat in the front row of Jay's career, watching every move with a magnifying glass, waiting for a single stumble. Meanwhile, Jay-Z's main strategy has been the ultimate power flex, silence. He almost never, ever responds directly to 50's jabs. He acts like the CEO who's too busy running his empire to acknowledge the noise from the street. In the rap game, where clapbacks are currency, that deliberate ignore is the ultimate diss. It screams, "You are not on my level. You are not worth my time." And you know that has to eat at 50. Fueling that fire even more. Now, let's get into how the people are reacting to 50's documentary threat. The court of public opinion is in full session, and the verdicts are all over the place. On the TL timeline, you got one crew that's utterly fed up with 50. They calling him a clout-chasing troll, a drama vampire. They say he's exploiting a truly horrific situation, a story about victims and trauma, just to settle a petty, decades-old grudge, and boost his engagement numbers. They stand firm that Jay's name was merely used by a monster, a classic name-drop tactic, and there's not a single piece of evidence linking him to any wrongdoing. To them, 50 is dangerously playing with fire, potentially smearing the reputation of a black icon for laughs and likes, and in the process, disrespecting the gravity of the Epstein case itself. Then you got the other side, the folks who are rocking with 50's move. They see him as a necessary agitator, a digital age watchdog who ain't scared of the big dogs. They throw around that phrase, sunlight is the best disinfectant, believing that all power and connections need to be examined, no matter how shiny they look. In an era of deep distrust and conspiracy rabbit holes, they appreciate someone willing to ask the uncomfortable questions everyone else is whispering. They want that pressure applied, even if it's messy. This whole clash is tethered to the darkest of anchors, the Jeffrey Epstein nightmare. That's a story about a billionaire predator, a web of abuse, and a circle of elite enablers who look the other way. It's the ultimate symbol of corruption and evil. So when any famous name, especially one as spotless as Jay-Z's, even grazes the perimeter of that story, it triggers a massive psychological alarm. Logic goes out the window. Nuance dies. For a lot of people, the thought process becomes simple. His name is in the papers? He must be connected. He must know something. 50's documentary idea is basically him talking, that spark of public suspicion, and pouring a whole gallon of gasoline on it. He's promising to follow that one thread, Jay-Z's name as bait, wherever it leads, even if it leads to a dead end. Jay-Z's moves are heavier. He could maintain his kingly silence, the most frustrating response of all. He could have his lawyers send a cease and desist so thick it could stop a truck, starting a whole new battle in actual court. Or he could break his own rule and respond, a verse, an interview, something. That would be nuclear, but it's the longest of long shots. And don't forget the brands. The companies tied to Jay-Z, the liquor, the apparel, the sports, they hate this kind of noise. Even if it's all baseless, the stink of bad press and Epstein-adjacent headlines can make corporate partners twitchy. They might not drop him, but the conversations in those boardrooms get tense. At the end of the day, this is a 21st century clash of the titans. It's the ultimate battle of narratives. The outspoken, street-certified provocateur with a massive digital megaphone versus the silent, establishment-embedded billionaire with the legacy to protect. 50 Cent is using the internet as his weapon of choice, trying to author a new, grittier chapter in Jay-Z's story, one with question marks and dark corners. Whether the world buys that new chapter depends on who they trust more, 50's motive to expose, or Jay's image of integrity. One thing's for certain, as long as 50 keeps posting, and as long as our thumbs keep scrolling and sharing, this feud ain't fading to black. It's a war for control of the story. And in today's world, whoever controls the story, controls everything. Let's get all the way into it. First things first, we gotta center what really matters in all this. The actual victims in the Epstein case. The young women who got hurt. That's the heart of this whole nightmare. Their pain, their trauma, their stolen peace. If 50 Cent makes this documentary and turns it into just another chapter of his rap beef with Jay, he's essentially using their tragedy as a backdrop for his personal drama. That's foul on a whole other level. A real, responsible documentary would put the victims' stories front and center, would amplify their voices, would focus on the system that failed them. The question is, would 50 do that? Or would he just use snippets of their horror as dramatic music for his own vendetta? This right here is the biggest, most serious problem people have with this whole idea. It feels like potential exploitation dressed up as investigation. Now, let's break down the 50 Cent playbook. 'Cause he's a certified genius at this game. We can call it his rage engagement strategy. It's a science at this point. Step 1. Find a scorching hot topic, usually a celebrity in deep trouble or caught in a scandal. Step 2. Jump on it with both feet. Not with a thoughtful comment, but with memes, with edited pics, with savage, funny but mean videos. He trolls the person relentlessly. Step 3. Announce a big, ambitious project, a documentary, a series, something that sounds official. Just by announcing it, he gets everyone yelling, debating, and most importantly, clicking. Whether the project ever actually gets finished is almost besides the point. The announcement itself is the product. The controversy is the fuel. He perfected this with Diddy. Creatine, a whole online universe of hashtag DiddyDoIt content that kept him relevant for months. So you gotta ask, is Jay-Z simply the next high-profile target on his list for this money-making, attention-generating machine? This documentary might not even be meant as a full TV special. It might just be the excuse he needs to drop 100 more conspiracy-light videos on social media and podcasts, keeping the rumor mill grinding. The idea of the documentary is the real product he's selling. So what's Jay-Z doing while all this is popping off? So far, absolute silence. Not a whisper. And don't get it twisted, that silence is loud. It's a strategic weapon. This is classic HOV. He almost never engages in public beef on this grimy social media level. His power comes from elevation, from moving in silence, from being so undeniably successful and solid that he doesn't need to address the noise. If he or his team put out a statement, that's ammunition for 50. It gives him something new to dissect and mock. If he files a lawsuit, it turns the whole thing into a legal circus, making the allegations feel even more real. Jay's play is likely the long game. Starve the fire of oxygen. Let 50 scream into the void until the internet's attention span runs out and moves to the next thing. But here's the twist. This ain't your average who's the better rapper argument. This is about someone directly insinuating that your moral character is compromised cause your name floated in the same sewer as a certified monster. In the age of algorithms, where rumors live forever in search results, can the old-school power move of silence still hold up? Let's rewind and look at the pattern. This ain't 50's first rodeo targeting Jay's empire. Back in 2015, when Jay made that big move to buy the music streaming service title, 50 was his #1 hater. He flooded Instagram with posts clowning Tidal subscription numbers, mocking its financial losses, Logan at the artist rallies. He even joked that he wanted to buy the company, just so he could shut it down. Then there was Jay's partnership with the NFL. 50 was right there, suggesting Jay was just a pawn in a PR stunt to make the league look better. It's a pattern. Anytime Jay makes a major power move in the boardroom, 50 is in the cut, watching, waiting, with a joke loaded in the chamber. It's like a reflexive habit he can't kick. And since he dropped this documentary bomb, he ain't let up. The meme campaign is a full-blown operation. He's photoshopped fake Time magazine covers with Jay's face and the word scandal in bold red letters. He reposted an old clip of Jay talking about not judging people, implying major hypocrisy. He even made a joke about a skin his TV network stars for a private jet to go look for evidence, which was clearly just to keep the bit alive and popping. Every single one of these posts racks up millions of views and thousands of comments. That's the metric. That's the win. He's provoking a reaction, and the internet is delivering. The rest of hip-hop is watching from the sidelines, choosing sides mostly with silent gestures. A few younger artists or folks from 50's circle might hit the like button on his controversial posts, a quiet show of solidarity. But Jay's inner circle, his longtime collaborators, the heavy hitters like a Timbaland or a DJ Khaled, they're on total radio silence. They ain't touching this with a 10-foot pole. The media, though, they're feasting. Every blog, every entertainment news site is running headlines. Has 50 Cent crossed a line? The silent treatment. Can Jay-Z ignore this? A history of a hip-hop feud reignited by a monster. They're digging up every ancient diss track, every old interview snipe, Red Keeklin, 2 decades of tension into new content. The cycle feeds itself. So what's next? Let's play out a few scenarios, different endings to this movie. Ending 1. The documentary actually drops point 50 somehow navigates the legal landmines and gets it on air or on a streamer. It becomes a massive, water cooler moment that everybody watches. But let's say after all that digging, the hardest evidence they find is exactly what we already know. His name was used as bait. The doc ends up being more about the culture of elite access, private jets, and how predators like Epstein used the glamour of fame as a lure. Jay-Z's name gets dragged through that murky world for 3 episodes straight. He's not found guilty of a crime, but his reputation gets a little dusty, a little tangled in that dark web. 50 wins the battle of attention and likely bags a huge check. Proven. Once again that controversy is the most valuable currency. Ending 2. The documentary crashes and burns. The lawyers at whatever network he pitches it to shut it down, saying it's too risky, too litigious. Maybe ethical producers don't want to touch it. 50 might eventually let the idea fade, moving on to troll the next big name in crisis. But even if he stops, the damage is seeded. Forever, when you Google Jay-Z, the algorithm might now suggest, and Jeffrey Epstein or Epstein documents. A permanent, faint stain on his digital footprint. The shadow of association, however thin, might never completely disappear. Ending 3. The legal war of attrition. Jay-Z decides the silent treatment ain't working. His team files a colossal defamation lawsuit against 50 Cent, to sue him into oblivion for knowingly spreading harmful lies. This would be the ultimate escalation. The fight leaves the chat rooms and the meme pages and enters the cold, hard reality of a courtroom. Depositions, subpoenas, the whole nine. The documentary about the Epstein mention would become a footnote in the bigger documentary about their insane, years-long legal battle. Their names would be tied together in court records forever, permanently linked to this ugly saga in the most official way possible. No matter which way this dice rolls, one thing is crystal clear. 50 Cent has already scored a major strategic win. He successfully tied his legendary rival's name to one of the most sinister stories of our era. He's shifted the entire conversation. It's no longer about bars, sales, or who runs New York. It's a narrative war about power, secrecy, privilege, and who gets to control the truth in a post-truth world. And in today's climate, the person who controls the narrative, even if it's a messy, controversial one, often walks away with the trophy. Let's step all the way back and look at what this beef really represents. This story has ballooned past 50 and Jay. It's a perfect, messy case study of how our world operates now. It shows what happens when secret documents hit the public. The facts don't just sit there. They get weaponized, twisted, memed, and turned into tools for personal agendas. It reveals how stories and rumors are the chosen weapons in the battle for clicks, views, and cultural relevance. And it forces us to stare at a deeply uncomfortable crossroads, the place where ultimate fame, unimaginable wealth, and profound evil intersect. So at this very moment, we witnessing two heavyweight strategies in a head-on collision. The absolute, deafening silence from Team Jay-Z. That's his calculated play. He's refusing to even step onto the battlefield 50 built. He's choosing not to play the game at all. On the opposite side, the constant, ear-splitting noise from 50 Cent's camp. That's his business model in action. He's actively converting this conflict into sellable content, into engagement metrics, into cultural capital. And trapped right in the middle of this war between silence and noise is the truth. Whatever the actual, unsexy facts are about that one mention in a deposition, they're just sitting there. They're waiting for somebody to approach, and with care, with context, with fairness. Or they're just waiting to get buried, forgotten under the avalanche of the next big celebrity scandal that's going to blow up the timeline next Tuesday. Now, let's really unpack what this beef means for the culture at large, for everybody spectating. It also puts a spotlight on the insane power one individual with a massive social media megaphone can wield. 50 Cent's got over 30 million loyal followers across his platforms. When he speaks, a small nation listens. He's transcended rapper. He's a full-blown media conglomerate. He's got his own hit TV franchises, his own liquor, his own headphone line, a history of flipping investments into fortunes. So when a guy with that track record announces a documentary, the world perks up and takes notice, even if his MO is often to threaten first and ask questions later. He's built a brand on being the guy who fears no one, who'll swing at the king and live stream the whole thing. We gotta check the temperature of the room, too. How are other voices reacting to this bigger picture? Some cultural critics and writers are calling this whole dynamic toxic. They say it creates a dangerous alchemy, mixing the gravely serious, trauma-filled allegations of systemic abuse with the frivolous, dunk contest energy of internet drama. They argue it poisons the well for everybody, teaching people to treat facts like team jerseys. Just pick your side and cheer. Don't worry about the substance. Other folks are using this moment to reignite the eternal debate about cancel culture. Some of 50's defenders are saying, look, if we're ever going to hold power accountable, why shouldn't we ask hard questions about every single rich and powerful person in that monster's orbit? Too many have skated by. They see 50 as an irregular, chaotic force for accountability. His critics fire back that what he's doing is cancel culture at its most reckless, an attempt to engineer a reputation assassination based on implication and rumor, not proof. The advocates for Epstein's victims, the people who actually work to support survivors, are largely avoiding this specific 50 versus J circus. But their overarching message has always been clear. The focus must remain on the victims, on their healing, on achieving justice for them, not on creating more fame, more content, and more profit from the wreckage of their lives. So, what's the long-term forecast? What seeds is this planting? This clash could fundamentally shift how celebrities and moguls navigate scandal. If 50's formula proves successful, massive engagement, possible documentary profits, a sustained narrative win, you can bet other online personalities and content creators will try to replicate the blueprint. We might enter an era of scandal mining, where folks are digging for any tangential, gossamer-thin connection between a celebrity and a negative news story, just to manufacture content and command the trending topics. It could also push the ultra-powerful, the Jay-Z's of the world, even deeper into their fortresses. Why engage with the public if any interaction, any association, can be screenshot, twisted, and used as fuel for a years-long meme campaign? We might see them retreat further, become more guarded, more legally insulated, because in the online court of public opinion, everything is evidence and context is the first casualty. For us, the regular people scrolling, watching, and sharing, this is a litmus test. It's demanding that we get smarter, more critical consumers of the digital fire hose. It's asking us to pause for 1 second before we hit retweet on that spicy meme, to think, what is this actually claiming? Is it rooted in verified fact, or just a feeling? Am I becoming a soldier in an army of misinformation, or am I seeking clarity? It's a tall order. 'Cause let's be real, the memes are hilarious, the drama is premium entertainment, but the real-world stakes, the human cost at the heart of the Epstein case, is dead serious. In the end, this deep dive into 50's power move shows us one undeniable truth. The documentary itself might just be a phantom, a concept, a ghost. It might never materialize as a watchable film. But the war, the brutal, ongoing fight to control the narrative around Jay-Z, to define 50 Cent's legacy, and to assign meaning to that one line in a court document, that war is already being waged. It's happening on your smartphone screen, in the quote tweets, in the comment section debates, and in the headlines you can't help but click. The battle for the story is live, and every single one of us, by paying attention, by sharing, by even talking about it, is part of the audience. There are no bystanders here. That's the whole landscape, the full scenario as it stands. It's a wild, almost unbelievable saga that started with some dusty court papers and ignited into a digital world war between two of music's most colossal figures. We tracked the history, from the studio disas of the 2000s to the meme warfare of today. We broke down what the Epstein docs actually said, and crucially, what they didn't say, about HOV. We decoded 50 Cent's rage engagement playbook, where threatening a documentary is less about journalism and more about seizing the narrative and dominating the conversation. And we analyzed Jay-Z's most powerful countermove, the art of the strategic, powerful silence. This is bigger than celebrity gossip. This is a real-time case study in how narratives spiral in the internet age, how rumors achieve light speed, and how damn near impossible it is to find a solid truth when everyone's yelling their version of it. It forces us to confront the lines. What's fair game for satire? And what's too sacred, too tied to real human suffering, to be used for clout and clicks? So what's your take? Is 50 Cent crossing a moral event horizon? Or is he just asking the uncomfortable questions the mainstream media won't touch? Should Jay-Z finally break the silence and enter the fray? Or is his silent, elevated stance the ultimate power move? And most importantly, where do we draw the line between holding power accountable and just manufacturing drama for views and revenue? Let us know what you're thinking down in the comments. We read every single one. This story is still unfolding in real time. So if you want to stay locked in on every update, whether this documentary phantom becomes real, if any legal papers get filed, or if the whole thing just fades to a whisper, make sure you subscribe to the channel and slam that notification bell. You won't want to miss a beat. If you found this breakdown valuable, if it made you think a little deeper about the media you consume, show some love and give this video a like. It helps more than you know. Appreciate you watching. Stay sharp out there in these digital streets. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.